This season dedicated to the memory of Joseph and Bernard Gantz, brother and grandfather, forever with us on the hunt. Have you ever dreamt of doing something that would call for you to step outside your comfort zone? Do you have the courage inside to accept that challenge? As an outdoorsman, every time we embark on a new adventure, our character, our will, our determination, and our drive are challenged. Follow as we attempt to define ourselves as hunters, outdoorsmen, and friends on this epic adventure. The harvest, that's the bonus. If it were always that easy, there would be no challenge, there would be no drive, there would be no will to get up and do it again. We are wild about hunting. Are you? This segment brought to you by De Jesus Family Chiropractic, improving lives with chiropractic. All right, this week at Wild Bout Hunting, we're going to be doing a little bit more preparation and planning our Ohio trip. So one of the things that I got to do is I've got to make a couple phone calls here and get some information that I need to know about as far as the regulations and so forth when it comes to hunting in a different state. We're also going to be going to New York with myself and a couple of friends of mine, Daryl Chipleski and Louis Teeter, up to our cabin, which is right next to Beaver Meadow State Forest, which is some public land that we're going to be hunting the opening weekend of rifle season on in New York. So we're at home in my office working, trying to get some information all figured out for the Ohio trip. I need to make a phone call to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. So I get on the phone, this gentleman by the name of Matt answers, and man, let me tell you, he's very, very helpful. Answers a lot of my questions that I needed to know about as far as where I could hunt. I was looking at an area called Ross County as an option to go hunt because it's where I had been given some recommendations for a town called Chillicothe, Ohio. A lot of big buck I've heard been taken out of that area, but it's also hard hunting. And I wanted to kind of get it narrowed down to a couple areas. I had been looking on the internet at some different state forests and wildlife management areas, but I wanted to get a little confirmation from the folks at the Ohio DNR office to make sure that what I was researching and what I was seeing as a possibility was where I needed to be and where I wanted to go. Well, that's good to know. Found some things out there. I cannot quarter a deer and pack it out if we're back in there really far unless I have that 18-digit confirmation number. So hopefully we have cell service once we harvest a deer, get to it, find it, and we can call it in right away, get that confirmation number, put the tag, and these are acceptable. We'll put them, we'll make sure we have Ziploc bags, all right? And it's got the number on here. It's called 1877 Tag It OH, so it stands for Ohio, and you call that number to report your harvest. Well, we're talking with Miss Debbie on the phone. She referred me to the wildlife conservation officer for the District 4 in Ross County, and that gentleman's name was Bob Nelson. So we gave Bob Nelson a call, and I'll tell you what, Bob was great. He was very kind, gave me a lot of good insight, and he narrowed it down to 4 areas that I could focus on, and that was Tar Hollow State Forest, Scioto Trail State Forest, Ross Lake Wildlife Management Area, and Pleasant Valley Wildlife Management Area, all within about a 10-15 minute drive of where I would be staying in Ohio. And he recommended Tar Hollow because it was more of a hardwoods state forest, bigger, a lot of hills and valleys, and you can get back in there off the beaten path a little bit. There is agriculture a little bit around that, but that's what he recommended that I focus my efforts on with starting. All right, well, enough about Ohio and the planning. It's time to hunt again. So let's head up to New York, up to Shenango County, where my cabin is at, right off Beaver Meadow State Forest, for a little bit of rifle deer season action with a couple of buddies of mine. All right, back on the road, headed to New York. Gonna hunt some public land up there, Beaver Meadow State Forest. We've got a cabin with a bunch of good friends of mine that we built back in 2010, and we've been going up there even prior to that. But I just need to make a pit stop for some fuel, and then get back up on the road. So I'm excited. And plan on hunting all day tomorrow. It's Saturday, that's opening day of rifle. And also gonna hunt Sunday morning if I have to. This segment brought to you by Deer Track Design. From custom decals to state-of-the-art printing, no order's too small. If you can dream it, we can print it. We're heading to New York State for a weekend hunt. We got my buddies Daryl and Louie are already up there, and they got the cabin all warmed up. They've been hunting all week with the archery season, and I'm heading up for the opening of rifle. So we're traveling up, and one of the things that I love to do is make sure I have a cup of coffee. That's one of my my biggest ride-along aids, especially when you're traveling by yourself. And I had the Bison bottle all filled with nice hot coffee for the ride up to New York. And that usually means I'm gonna have to make a pit stop somewhere along the way, but thankfully I was able to make it all the way to Walmart where I got my hunting license before I had to do that. Made it into Norwich, or Norwich, however we say it. Coming up to Walmart here. Gonna be pulling in to go use the bathroom and go get my hunting license, and grab a bite to eat, and then we'll head to the camp. So we're not far now. Home stretch to the cabin here in New York. One of the cool things when you're driving up is we're traveling I-81 all the way north until we get off in Binghamton, and you're traveling a long way, and you're hoping that it's going to keep an interesting trip. And it was beautiful skies, and the weather was great. The temperatures were going to be a little bit cooler for the weekend, for Saturday, for the opening day, so I was pretty excited about that. But it's always great when you cross that New York state line and you know you're getting a little bit closer to camp, and then you see the sign that says Binghamton 12 miles, and you know you're almost at your exit, and it's only about 45-minute drive from there, and you're getting pretty excited because it's almost time to go hunting again. The next stop I had to make was at the Rogers Environmental Center, which is the New York DEC office. And the nice thing about the state forest that we hunt on is every year they have doe permits that we can get for out of state. Now this year I missed it. This was the first year that we were actually able as non-residents to apply for doe tags during the normal application process. But I missed that opportunity because I was out of town doing some other stuff. But they still do what they call a deer management program at Beaver Meadow State Forest. There's lots of deer up there. It's just so thick that these deer have so many places to hide that it's hard to harvest them. So they have doe permits that I can go and get, and they don't cost a dime. And if you don't harvest it, you have to return the tag. If you do harvest it, they have a check-in process that you have to follow. So I stopped at the office, and there were a couple other guys there getting their own doe permits, but I was able to grab one, and that made for a little bit more of a optimistic type of a weekend when you're only hunting a short time. I got my doe permit for Beaver Meadow State Forest. They're very nice. It's a part of a deer management program that they do on the state forest here. So it gives me a little bit more opportunity to harvest a deer in a day and a half. It doesn't cost anything. It's something that they do as part of their deer management program here. All right, well, after we left the DEC office, we were only 15 minutes from camp. I pulled into camp. The generator was running, and I heard a couple of rifles sounding, so I knew the guys were just down over the hill at our neighbor Barry's cabin, probably sighting their rifles in. So I started getting myself all unpacked, and by that time the guys came back up, and we said our hellos and whatnot, and my buddy Daryl and I, it was time to head out and get our tree stands hung and set up on our trees for the morning. Made it to camp here with my good buddy Daryl. Louie's holding the couch down for us in the cabin. But Daryl and I got to go out and hang some tree stands here. Just had some folks who bought some property down over the hill here stop by and say hello, and got a lot of good people coming in. It's going to be a fun day tomorrow. Be nice and cold in the morning. Probably about 20s, right? Mid-20s. Mid-20s. So hopefully one of us get some shooting and they slow down enough.
We'll get them.
We'll get them. But we're going to drive up the hill here and drop down over. We got our GPSs. We're going to go hang our tree stands and then come on back and just chill out for the night, get a good night's sleep. Everybody will be coming in and we'll have a good old time. So, see you in the woods. Daryl and I made it back to the truck. We didn't have any cameras with us because we had too much equipment to carry, and we wanted to be as stealthy and quiet as we could. But we got my stand hung, got Daryl's stand hung, found some really good sign, and we got out of there. It's early. We're gonna go back down, see if Lewis is awake, and we're gonna relax for the evening and get up bright and early and get in there, and hopefully we all get shots in the morning and we can go back and watch our Penn State beat Michigan.
Sounds good to me.
How about it? Yeah. All right. This segment brought to you by Nightstar Munitions, family owned and operated, located at 318 Yorktown Drive, Hazleton, Pennsylvania. All right, so it's opening morning. I'm settled up in my tree stand. I've got myself all secured in there. It's starting to break daylight. The sun's coming up. It's it's one of those orange skies. There's some weather coming in, possibly Sunday, so it's got that little bit of, the old tale of the sailors, red skies in the morning, sailors warning. So we know that there's some kind of weather coming in, but what a beautiful, beautiful way to kind of just experience Mother Nature at its finest as it's starting to, the blanket of darkness goes away and you're watching daylight and all the wildlife just start to awake, the birds, the geese, everything. So it's fixing to be a really cool day. Can't wait for it to get started. All right, well, it's about 6:30. Opening morning here in New York for rifle season. It's been a few years since I was able to get up here and hunt open deer rifles, so I'm pretty excited. I'm actually sitting in the same location, maybe about 10 yards over in a different tree from where I shot a doe several years ago on the opening day. Nice cool morning. It's one of those mornings where you see your breath when you're breathing. It smells like deer season. It feels like deer season. You know you're gonna see deer. You're just waiting for that time, for that moment, that anticipation of what's gonna happen. And right behind me, I got this heavy trail that comes up, and there's a lot of old apple trees down below me. Just heard a couple of shots in the farm just off of the state land over here. We're on Beaver Meadow State Forest here in New York. So where I'm set up this morning, the reason I'm set up the way I am is I'm facing down into the bottom of this basin. Right across from me is the big hill, and at the top of the hill is the cul-de-sac where we park the truck. So we're probably about 150 yards from the truck in on the state land. I'm dressed in camo, but I have orange on. Now, orange is not required during any kind of hunting season in New York, but we wear it for safety reasons. At least I do. I choose to wear orange on my head as well as a vest just to be seen, because it is so thick in the areas that we're hunting in New York, and these guys are putting drives on. They may not see you if you're in camo, so I want to be seen because I don't want to get shot. I don't want anything to happen to anybody. So safety first always when we're hunting. Sit tight, starting to get daylight here. Beautiful sunrise over my left shoulder here to the east. So let's see, hopefully something comes through. Just had some shooting over my shoulder here. I don't know if that was Daryl or some other guys. 2 shots. You're not going to see far the deer. You're going to probably hear them before you actually see them, and that was the case with this hunt. It's light enough now. We got good camera light, and I can see well to shoot, so. I did hear some activity, some walking in the dark, so hopefully these deer will be up and moving. It's starting to get a little cold. Pull out a couple hot hands. So it was about 9 o'clock, and I could hear movement on the side hill right in front of me,
probably about 150 yards, 200. I knew it was a deer. I could hear actually grunting. I had a good feeling that it was a buck. I could see the deer. It looked like it was maybe a small spike, but it was hard to tell. But I knew there was a deer down there. I could see it, and it was starting to get a little bit heated, and it was starting to warm me up, especially with the cold weather. I'm hearing grunting. I don't know if it's a buck. So it's about 9:30 now, or somewhere around there. I'm not really sure. And I can hear deer moving across that side hill, but I still can't see them. And they're heading my direction. And I'm focusing. I got the Maven binoculars out there classing, and I still can't see them. And it was a while. It was starting to get a little frustrating, and I was getting cold, but I knew those deer were coming in, and I was starting to get that anxious anticipation. Is this going to happen? Am I going to be able to capture this all? Because I'm self-filming this hunt. So can I pull this off? It's a little different now. I got a rifle. I've got to hold this rifle. I've got to position this camera. I don't know what's going to happen here. And these deer are being really cautious on coming in. This segment brought to you by Paul's Auto Center, providing emergency roadside assistance and towing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, serving the Hazleton area for over 30 years. So a little bit longer goes by, and I catch movement out in front of me about 100, a little over 100 yards. And there's a deer on the side of the hill, and it looks like there's two, maybe three, a couple good ones, looks like at least a good doe or two, and now I'm getting zoomed in. I was able to finally get them in on the camera where you can see some ear movement and the deer just kind of hanging out, but there's a bunch of trees between me and those deer, and it's making it hard for me to see them with the naked eye or even with the binoculars, let alone getting them in the camera. Well, it seemed like about an hour has gone by, but it really was only just a few minutes just sitting there with the anxiety of wondering what's going to happen and where these deer are going to go, if they're going to bust up the hill and I'm not going to get a shot, or if they're going to come into me and peg me in this tree stand that just showed up yesterday. Well, lo and behold, I started hearing movement coming towards me, and again, those trees between me and the deer pretty much hid that deer, which actually helped me as well because it hid me from the deer. And I just focused that camera down to where I heard it, and I started seeing that deer up here coming towards me. I just got a shot at a big doe. I have no idea if I hit her because of all the smoke, so I'm gonna get reloaded quick here and see what happens. I just replayed the footage, and what it looks like after I shot is it hunched down, ran to the left, and then spun and ran back up the hill. All right, so I did talk to my buddies Lewis and Daryl. We made a decision that we were going to sit till about 10 or 10:30, somewhere around there, and let this deer sit tight, let it expire, since we weren't sure of the hit. We knew it was a hit, but we weren't sure of it, so we were going to let that deer just lay down. They were going to sit tight because they were starting to get some shooting down below us. We might have some more deer moving. Maybe one of them can get a shot. I'm going to stay here in the stand until they get to me, and then I'll lower my equipment down and we'll regroup, and then we'll head over to where the deer was and see if there's any sign. Well, it was probably about 20 after 10, I guess, and I could hear some walking coming towards me, and that was Daryl making his way, and Lewis wasn't too far behind him, so we were going to get all of our gear, climb down, regroup, and start tracking and start looking for the sign. All right, folks. Well, I just got down out of my tree. Daryl and Lewis came over, and Lewis took his tree stand up to the truck and he's heading back down to the cabin to get the quad. We're thinking on positive note here that we're gonna have a deer down and we're gonna find it. So, yep, there's hair.
You'll probably start to see a little bit
Let's
of blood.
get the.
That's white hair.
We definitely have hair here. I could see it with my binoculars and we confirmed it. So,
Wow, that's pretty good.
we're gonna.
You saw that with your binoculars?
Yeah, from up there I could see the hair with my binoculars.
What kind of binoculars are those?
Maven.
Wow.
Maven V2s. They're rated best of the best for 2015. There she is. There she is, right on the hill. Right up on the hill.
Oh, that's her belly. Is that her belly?
Yeah. Not the white bucket. I see the deer laying right here on the hill.
Is that her? Okay. Way to go, buddy.
Let's go. Right up on the hill by the tree. See by the base of that tree? This big tree right in front of me?
Oh, yep. I'm looking up at the damn. I'm
We
looking
found
at
it.
that plastic thing up there.
That's
All right,
it.
yeah.
Let's go head
Right,
up here.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be an easy one to get out, too. Oh, that's pretty nice.
It's not a giant. It's a young deer, button buck. It looked a heck of a lot bigger from up in the tree, but it's considered a legal deer. We're gonna put a doe tag on it, and got ourselves some fresh back straps here. So
After we recovered the deer, we did a little bit of interviews and whatnot there. We threw that deer, we took it up to the quad. Louis drugged that out, made it real easy for us to get it out of there. We packed the rest of our gear out and headed back down to the cabin in time just to watch Penn State play Michigan. All right, we got the deer on the hitch haul. We're not going to strap her down because we don't have far to go. Just over the hill to our cabin. Go back and celebrate. Wild Bout Huntin' is also proud to partner with these fine sponsors.